Rama Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Krishna
करता हूँ। जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा 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 जय प्रभुपादा जय जय प्रभुपादा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय भक्ति चारु स्वामी गुरु महाराज भक्ति चारु स्वामी गुरु महाराज चारु स्वामी गुरु महाराज जय भक्ति चारु स्वामी गुरु महाराज भक्ति चारु स्वामी गुरु महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी निति नामिने नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna. Go. See. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Guru Charana Padma Keval Bhakti Sadma Guru Bandha moye sabadhana mate Bandha moye sabadhana mate Jahar prasade bhai e bhavatoriya jai Jahar prasade bhai e bhavatoriya jai
Don't change it in the software group. Software group. Maharaj, Mataji, send me. You're not in software group. Okay. Don't change software group. This Charu Maharaj.
Krishna Prapti hai jaha hoite Krishna Prapti hai jaha hoite Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Kya Arana koriha mane asa Arana koriha mane asa Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttama Gati Je pasade pure sarva asa Je pasade pure sarva asa चक्षुदान दिल जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिल जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से शिव ज्ञानी देव का सीता ज्ञानी देव का सीता प्रेमा भक्ति जा होते आविद विनाश जाते प्रेमा भक्ति जा होते आविद विनाश जाते विधि गाय जार चरिता विधि गाय जार चरिता विधि गाय जार चरिता श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदम जनार बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना हा प्रभु कर दया देह मरे पद छाया प्रभु कर दया देह मरे पद छाया बेजाल घुसुक्ति भुवाना बेजाल बेजाल घुसुक्ति भुवाना प्रभुपाद पतित पावना प्रभुपाद पतित पावना प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा Swami Guru Maharaj. Jaya Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj. Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschatya Desatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschatya Desatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hari Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Charu Vishnu Maharaj, Shishimani, Bhakti Charu Swami Mahraj, Charu Vishnu Maharaj, Anantapurti Vaishnava, Namaskar, Dasa, Charu Devotion, Chaitanya, Radha, Bhagavati, Swami Vrindavan Dham, Sridham, Jagannath Puri Saraswati Devi, Gangamaya, Samuramaya, Samarila, Harinam, Sai Gaur, the Holy Bhakti Charu Maharaj, all glory to come of the Lord, all glory, all glory, seeking which you learn, great spiritual God, and the double honesty. What a sweet mention that. And the way that we can maintain the pure devotion service. That not the choice of the Lord, expression, material suffering, and universe. My only wish is to have my conscience purified by the attachment to this lotus feet is perfection. My Lord, from Him ecstatic, and emanates by Him against spiritual master, spiritual mercy. Friend of the poor, Lord of Master, Lord Master, be merciful, blessed is the Savior, the famous spiritual. Prabhupada, Bhakti Charu Mahraj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tanami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pacharani. Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskat Yedasatani Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Haribol. So the next 11 days we're going to have a remembrance and glorification of Bhakti Charu Maharaj's super excellent life of devotion as a servant to Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, and as a senior member of ISKCON. And every morning at 9 o'clock I will speak and also invite others to speak, and also we will hear lectures by Bhakti Charu Maharaj. the most, let's say, life-changing experience besides initiation is losing the personal association of a spiritual master during his pastimes in this world. Of course, one is never separated from the spiritual master, because spiritual master is not just a body; he's an eternal, liberated soul. However, it's a life-changing experience. It's sobering, and sometimes it can cause anxiety and fear in a disciple's mind. That's why Srila Prabhupada organized the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, so that we always have the association of devotees. Even in the physical absence of one's spiritual master, there's the eternal presence of Krishna and the acharyas, and also devotees who are carrying on the mission of Krishna consciousness. So the best way a disciple can honor their spiritual master and spiritual masters, Siksha and Diksha Gurus, is by becoming a very dedicated, sincere, and productive disciple. And that can only happen if one is regularly hearing and chanting in the association of devotees the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and of course chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra as purely as possible, and avoiding the 10 offenses against the holy name, avoiding offenses against Vaishnavas, offenses against holy places. Temple is also a holy place. So there are many rules and regulations that one has to follow. But these rules and regulations liberate a person from the cycle of birth and death and from illusion. Because in order to follow rules and regulations, one has to be regulated, one has to be dedicated, and one has to be conscious of what is the actual purpose of life. So most people are ignorant of what the purpose of life is, therefore they waste most of their time on frivolous things and avoid doing anything significant in this lifetime. Significant doesn't mean you're a great author and you write books like Harry Potter, or books on who's going to be elected president, or books on this or books on that. That's not significant. What's significant is what you do to please Guru and Krishna. That's significant. So we must understand what is success. Success is becoming gradually liberated from the influence of the three modes of material nature and acting on a transcendental level all the time as a representative of Krishna and the parampara. So what does a spiritual master want from the disciple? The spiritual master wants that the disciple becomes a pure devotee. Very simple. He doesn't care so much if the disciple becomes a billionaire or is the first person to land on Mars or anything like that. That's not significant at all. What's significant is one becomes a pure devotee, and the behavior of a pure devotee is the hallmark of the pure devotee. And therefore, many times Arjuna asks Krishna, how can I recognize if someone's transcendental? So he answers that question many times in the Bhagavad Gita, different parts. And we could safely say without exaggeration that Bhakti Charu Mahraj was, under Prabhupada's guidance, a pure devotee, because he dedicated his whole life to pleasing Prabhupada. So that means that Guru Mukha Padma Vaikya Chitete Kariya Aikya. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from the lips of my spiritual master. So not only Bhakti Charu Maharaj listened to Prabhupada's nectarian voice and instructions, but he also spent many years of his life translating all of Prabhupada's books into Bengali and seeing that the books be printed and distributed. So you see that his whole life was based on pleasing Prabhupada. I mean, his whole life from the point that he met Prabhupada was to please him. And this is the sign of a genuine devotee. And if you want to be a genuine disciple, you should do the same thing. If you have any aspiration of doing something significant in this human life form, and with all the assets given to us, you have a body with senses that are highly developed, and mind and intelligence and life air and some time and health, use it to please Guru and Krishna. Some Siddhir Haritoshanam. The Guru is dedicated only to act in such a way to please Krishna, and the disciple of such a Guru should also be dedicated only to please Krishna under the instructions of bona fide Guru. So the instructions given to the disciple are eternal. It's not that they were different 5,000 years ago and they're different today. They're the same. Man manabhava mad bhakto mad yajiman namaskuru mam evaisisi satyante pratijane priyosime. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer all your homage and respect, and basically surrender completely to me. If you do this, Krishna says, I promise you that you will come back to me. And then therefore, sarvadharmam parityaja mamekam saranam vraja ham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshisyami ma suchaha. That is, that one should therefore surrender to Krishna, and you surrender to Krishna by surrendering and accepting his bona fide representative, the 600 Diksha Gurus. So if you do this, then Krishna frees you from your karmic debts. We all are born with karmic debts. And so it's like any other accounting system. There's plus and minus, but they're actually all minus because there are things that keep us in the material world. Even the pluses of the karma are minus because you have to take birth again to stay in the material world and receive those so-called pluses. So it's very difficult for people to understand this. Understand what? The nature of the soul. And Prabhupada speaks about that in a very interesting letter. I'm going to read that. He says in a letter dated 23rd June 1975 to, he says, my dear Swarup Damodar Dasa. He's actually Maharaj, he became Maharaj. At that time he was Das. Regarding a question about the jiva soul in the heart and the jiva soul within the cells, they are separate. Both are jiva atmas, but a particular jiva belongs to a particular body. There is the jiva in this body, but there are also jivas within the cells. Just like I am living within this apartment, but does it mean that no other living entity can live here? There are so many ants, flies, bugs. They are also living within the apartment. Even in my stool, there are thousands of living entities. So in other words, there's one dominant jiva in your body and my body, but every cell is a separate jiva also, living under our, let's say, guidance, because we're making decisions of what we're going to eat, and how we sleep, and how we bathe, and if we chant Hare Krishna or don't chant Hare Krishna, and so forth. And when we don't use this body in Krishna's service, eventually those other jivas will revolt against us. And then so many complications take place. We're managing at least 2 billion jivas in this body. So we have to learn to manage them correctly. Otherwise, they can revolt. So, then he says, your second question is not very clear, what you want to ask. But the fact is that each and every living entity is covered by two kinds of bodies, one subtle and one gross. So the subtle body causes a living entity to take another gross body. We have got experience that in dreaming, the gross body is inactive while the subtle body is continuing activities. And again, in deep sleep, the subtle body is continuing activities. The living entity, after being carried by the subtle body to another gross body, it sometimes remains in deep sleep in the womb of the mother. Then gradually the subtle body begins to act within another gross body. When this gross body is fully developed, befitting to come out of the mother's body, that is another birth. That is called another birth. Again, he changes to another gross body imperceptibly. Just like in the film, thousands of pictures are moved imperceptibly. It looks like the body in the picture is moving, but the audience cannot understand that there are so many pictures in the spool. They think that the picture is moving. Similarly, every second, every moment, we are changing the body. Those who are not sober cannot understand how the spirit soul is changing from one body to another. Krishna therefore says that this change of body can be appreciated only by the dhiras. Dhiras tatra namuyati. While those who are not dhiras, or not sober people, cannot understand how the soul is changing from one body to another. There are two kinds of men, dhira and adhira. The modern education is producing only the adhira class, who are neither sober nor educated. Therefore, the majority of the population cannot understand how the soul is transmigrating from one body to another. They are only interested in wine and women under the impression of the bodily concept of life. Therefore, out of so many scientists in this country, only you, he's talking to Swarup Damodar Maharaj, and a few others are understanding the importance of this subject matter. Manusyanam sahasresu. That means out of thousands of people, only one may be interested in Krishna consciousness. And out of thousands and millions of people who are interested, only one will know Krishna in truth. So please work very hard, following our rules and regulations, and you will always remain in the fire of Krishna consciousness. So, this is called Atma Tattva, knowledge of the eternal soul, and its relationship with Krishna, and its relationship with the material energy. And so, Adhira is a person who understands these relationships properly, and therefore, they are not attracted to sense gratification. They're attracted to pleasing the senses of Krishna and pleasing with the instructions of the bona fide guru. So, a sincere disciple is someone who is dhira. Yes, there's going to be birth, there's going to be old age, there's going to be disease and death, but dhira is not, let's say, bewildered by these things, because birth, old age, disease, and death does not influence the soul. The soul is eternal. It is never created and can never be destroyed. And it is part and parcel of Krishna. It's not separate from Krishna at any point, either in the material body, in the material world, or whatever. The soul is always part and parcel of Krishna. So Dhira knows that its constitutional position is to be the servant of Krishna. And therefore, in spite of any changes, vicissitudes, upheavals in the material world, the jiva remains steady in devotional service, because that is the purpose of Vedic knowledge, that we should come to the point of serving Krishna 24 hours a day for our whole lifetime. That means you actually studied Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. If you don't come to that realization and everything remains academic but not practical, then you have not really read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, even though you might have read it 1,000 times. Because the proof that one has come to the point of Krishna consciousness is to actually act practically 24 hours a day in Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, Krishna says, Mam chayo vibhacharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samatityayitam bhamabhuyaya kalpate. One who always engages in devotional service and never falls down under any circumstance becomes free from the influence of modes and material nature and comes to the level of Brahman. Brahmabhuyaya kalpate. What is the level of Brahman? No more lamentation, sochati, and no more kangsati, hankerings or material desires. Only desires to please Krishna. All the material desires are transformed into desires to please Guru and Krishna. So, why does it say Guru and Krishna? Why not just Krishna? Because without Guru, you will definitely make mistakes and consider the mistakes that you make correct and go off on a merry tangent, always doing the wrong thing. So Guru has to be there, whether it's Siksha or Diksha Guru, to keep us on the track. Just like there are parallel rails on a railroad track. So if someone who built the railroad track makes a mistake and does not keep the same distance between the two rails, the train will derail when it comes to that point in the railroad track where the rails are not parallel. So Guru and Krishna are always parallel, and they're the two lines that take us back to Godhead. So that's why it says Yasya Devi Parabhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru Tashaite Katita Hiyatak Prakasante Mahatmanaha. One who has unflinching faith in spiritual master and Krishna is blessed by the Lord to have to understand the real import of the Vedic, or real meaning of the Vedic knowledge, and thus be able to go back to Godhead in this lifetime, or always be in Godhead in this lifetime. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, it says, Tadvidi paripratena paripasnena sevaya upadeksyami te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshanaha, that one should meet a bona fide spiritual guru and inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you, because the self-realized soul is seeing the truth all the time. And then it says, Yajgyatva na punar moham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutani sesani draksyasi atmani atomayi. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul or guru, you will never fall again into such illusion. Illusion is the thing, the purpose of life is to be happy by eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and to find solace and refuge in society, friendship, and love. Well, that is illusion. There's no real solace in society, friendship, and love. And there's no real truth in pursuing a life of sense gratification, of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Those are activities of the animal. As a human being, we must distinguish ourselves from animals. Animals only do those 4 things. Human beings limit those 4 things in order to have time and equilibrium of the mind and energy for Atma Tattva, understanding the nature of the soul and its relationship to Krishna and its relationship to the material world, and how to use the material energy in the service of Krishna. So, therefore it says, you'll never fall again into such illusion, for by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mind. That means that everything, including all living entities, belong to Krishna. We have all come from Krishna. Even though there are 8,400,000 species, all those species are living entities, and they're all part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaya Vamsa Jiva Bhuta Jiva Loka Sanatana. We are the eternal part and parcel of the Lord. There's no question of us being ever separate from Krishna. The only reason people feel or think that they're separate is because they're in illusion. And in that separateness, they become entangled more and more in the actions and reactions of karma. And it's an impossible entanglement. They cannot get out unless they actually come in contact with bona fide devotees and are convinced that their only salvation is surrendering to Krishna through devotional service. You surrender through service. If you love someone, then you will serve them. So if you have no love for Krishna, then you will not serve him. If you have no love for a guru, you won't be interested in hearing about Krishna. But if you have love for Guru and Krishna, then you will be hearing about Krishna all the time from bona fide devotees, and you will be surrendering to the Lord through devotional service. Why? How do you develop knowledge of Krishna? It's by regular hearing. Hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Not hearing the news, not hearing sports, not hearing scientific achievements. It's all speculation anyway, all those scientific achievements. Why? Because they are promising that one day they will find the riddle, they'll solve the riddle of death. And that is nonsense. And every one of the scientists who's working to solve death dies. That proves that they're nonsense. If they're so good at solving the problem of death, how come they're all dying before they solve it? Because it's impossible. There are certain things that are impossible, and one of them is to lead a life of sense gratification and expect to live eternally in this body. It's impossible. Cannot be done. So, Prabhupada says, for want of sufficient knowledge in the absolute science, we are now covered with illusion. And therefore we think that we are separate from Krishna. Although we are separated parts of Krishna, we are nevertheless not different from him. That is, we're part and parcel of him. The bodily difference of the living entities is Maya, or not actual fact. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna. Yeah, that means the black person, the white person, the yellow person, the green person, the purple person, they're all meant to serve Krishna. There's no question that, oh, this particular body type can't serve Krishna. No. All living entities are meant to serve Krishna. Therefore, although we are separated parts of Krishna, we are nevertheless not different from him. And the bodily difference of the living entities is Maya, or not factual. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna. By Maya alone, Arjuna thought that the temporary bodily relationship with his kinsman was more important than his eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. So this is the problem with society and friendship and love. Like Arjuna, we may think that pleasing or following this family tradition or this ethnic tradition or this national tradition is more important than Krishna consciousness. And because of that, we don't engage in Krishna consciousness. Just like someone might think, oh, I should get a sign and hold it up on 228th Avenue, Black Lives Matter. No justice, no peace. They think they're making a difference. The only difference they're making is they're avoiding the service of Krishna. Okay, you can hold up a sign, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. That makes a difference. But, Black Lives Matter, that's based on the body. There's nothing about the soul there. Therefore, anything that's not related to Krishna is actually Maya. It's an illusion. And it's not going to last. So, 100 years from now, someone will be holding up a sign, "White lives matter." And then 100 years later, somebody will be holding up a sign, yellow people's color matters. See? All those things are bodily related, not related to Krishna. Therefore, they have no reality. They seem real, but they're not real, in the sense that they're not eternal. So therefore, devotees understand, I should engage my time with things that are eternal and not waste my time with things that are temporary, other than minimal maintenance of the body to keep the body and soul together so I can continue serving Krishna. Otherwise, everything that is not permanent that can be used in Krishna's service should be used in Krishna's service. That should be my life, dedicating everything, even impermanent things, in the service of Krishna. Why? What happens when you do that? Well, that's explained in the 4th chapter, 24th verse, that says that anything material used properly in the service of Krishna becomes spiritual. Because everything is spiritual. The material energy is spiritual. But when it's used for sense gratification, you don't experience a spiritual aspect. But Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagno, Brahmana, Hutam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavya, Brahmakarma Savadinam. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. So, therefore, it says that everything that exists is situated in the Brahma Jyoti. But when the Jyoti, or the spiritual light, is covered by illusion, Maya, or sense gratification, it is called material. So, Maya, or sense gratification, is illusory, and it's like a cloud that covers the light of the Brahma Jyoti. So, if we develop some illusion based on sense gratification, then we are not connected to the truth of life. So, therefore, it says, this material veil can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. What does that mean? Where the offering for the sake of Krishna, the consuming agent of such an offering, which is Lord Vishnu, or contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor, and the result, all combined together, are Brahman, or the Absolute Truth. The Absolute Truth covered by Maya is called matter. Matter, dovetailed for the cause of the Absolute Truth, regains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman, or the Supreme. So, this is what Bhakti Charu Mahraj was doing. Since he met Prabhupada, he was converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman, or the Supreme. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, is said to be in samadhi, or trance. Yeah, when your mind is always thinking about how to serve Krishna, and your body receives the order from your mind, you must serve Krishna, and you must get up early in the morning, you must chant your rounds, you must bathe, you must come to the temple, you must do this, you must do that, because it's all spiritual activity, then your whole life is transformed into spiritual reality. Anything done in such transcendental consciousness is called yajna, or sacrifice for the Absolute. In that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer, or the leader of the performance, and the result, or the ultimate gain, everything becomes one in the Absolute, the Supreme Brahman. That is the method of Krishna consciousness. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj became an expert in his method of Krishna consciousness. So he was able to build a wonderful temple in Ujjain, a temple that glorifies Krishna, and glorifies Krishna where regularly Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is read, is discussed, is spoken, and is explained, and is learned, and is repeated, that therefore the material energy has become spiritualized by this hearing and chanting and serving the Lord. So he took ordinary paper, ink and pen, ink and glue, and transformed it into Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita with Prabhupada's purports. So you see, he was an expert in matter dovetailed for the cause of the absolute truth, retains its spiritual quality. So if you want to be a disciple, you have to learn from guru and gurus how to do the same thing, transforming the material energy into spiritual reality. And it's not a difficult thing to do if your heart is pure. And it's impossible to do if your heart is contaminated. So, contaminated with the desires for sense gratification, you will not be able to do it. No matter how much you so-called preach, no one will be convinced by you. But when your heart is pure and only has desires to please Guru and Krishna, and you follow actually follow the regulative principles, you become empowered. Your words become surcharged with potency, and you're able to convince people to take up Krishna consciousness, and you're able to have the patience to guide them through all difficult situations of life. So, if you want to be a sincere disciple, then you must follow the Guru's example. Now, what did the Guru ask you to do? Basically, 5 things. Follow the 4 regulative principles and purely chant Hare Krishna and avoid the 10 offenses against the holy name. That's what you promise at initiation. You don't promise to become a millionaire. You don't promise to become a champion basketball player or football player or baseball player and become a millionaire. You don't promise any of those things. You promise to follow the regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna purely by avoiding the 10 offenses and chanting and acting only for Krishna consciousness and Prabhupada and Krishna and Guru favorably. So that's what we should follow, the vows that we make at initiation. And then you'll be successful in everything you do. Your words will be empowered words, and it'll influence people to take up Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, your words will fall flat. You might even say the right things, but there's no potency behind them because there's no sadhana bolstering it. Sadhana bhakti, following strictly the rules and regulations, is what energizes your mind and your words and everything you have with spiritual potency. Okay, so therefore I wanted to read something else I consider very important. That is, we read this before, but we'll read it again because I think this is extremely important to understand Bhakti Charu Mahraj and his very special relationship with Srila Prabhupada. He was an intimate devotee of Srila Prabhupada. Quite a few young Bengalis were joining ISKCON in Mayapur, partly in response to a newspaper advertisement, and Bhavananda Maharaj asked me to guide them. For the first time in Mayapur, we had a group of educated, intelligent boys joining our movement. I was giving them a Bhagavad Gita class one afternoon when the guard came in and informed me that a postman was outside with a telegram for me. The telegram came from Tamal Krishna Maharaj and read, "Srila Prabhupada wants you to come to Vrindavana immediately." I was thrilled. After 3 weeks, Srila Prabhupada had already come back to India, and he was in Vrindavana. I ran to Bhavananda Maharaj and gave him the news. Maharaj said that since Prabhupada wanted me, I should leave for Vrindavana immediately. That evening, I went to Calcutta, where I caught a flight to Delhi the next morning, and at Delhi temple, I found Brahmananda Swami and Giriraj Prabhu, who were about to drive to Vrindavana, so I got a ride with them. When we arrived that evening, I went straight to Srila Prabhupada's quarters. Tamal Krishna Maharaj greeted me with a warm hug and said that Prabhupada was in his room sleeping. He had developed a cough and cold. So I just sat with Maharaj in his office talking until Upendra came and took me inside. The room was practically dark. There was just a small lamp on a corner table. Frankincense was burning, and there was a strong smell of eucalyptus oil that had been used to wipe the floor. Upendra and I sat in a corner watching Srila Prabhupada sleep. His head stuck out of the corners, out of the covers, and his body seemed to be on the same level with the rest of the bed. He had been quite thin before he had left, but now he seemed emaciated. At one point, Srila Prabhupada woke up coughing. Upendra went over to help him. And when he told Prabhupada that I was there, Prabhupada beckoned me closer. He asked me what I had been doing and wanted to know how everything was going in Mayapur. After I gave him a brief report, he said that he wanted to sit up. So I propped him up with some pillows. He was very light, gaunt, meaning like tight and thin. Srila Prabhupada, I said, "You have become so thin." "Yes," he replied. "Now this body is just a set of bones in a bag of skin." I did my best to check the emotions that were flooding my consciousness. Why did I let him go? I chastised myself. So he's talking about Prabhupada wanted to go to the West, even though he was very, very sick. And finally, Bhakti Charu and the others relented, and he went to London. And in London, they celebrated Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja, and it was a wonderful festival. But right after that festival, Prabhupada got really sick, very, very sick, and they rushed back to India with Prabhupada. There was a lot of problems to do that because he was very, very sick. So Maharaj said, "Why did I let him go? I chastised myself." Vanamali Kaviraj, who's a doctor, had been emphatic about Prabhupada not going. Why hadn't I listened? Why hadn't I been more forceful and asked the senior devotees to persuade him not to leave? Then I realized that we had to surrender to whatever Srila Prabhupada wanted. He was a pure devotee of the Lord and knew what Krishna wanted him to do. And nobody could have imagined that his condition would deteriorate so quickly. I wanted to embrace him, to release all the agony from my heart in tears. Tamal Krishna Maharaj and I stayed up into the night talking. When I wondered aloud where I would stay, he looked at me with surprise and said, "What? You're staying with me, as always." Maharaj told me about what had happened in London. Initially, Srila Prabhupada had been happy to be there. His health had been good. The atmosphere was joyous. Devotees had come from all over Europe to see him. He had been giving regular darshanas, and the devotees had been in ecstasy. He had been so happy to be with them that he had said he just wanted to stay in the West and preach. However, soon after the celebrations of Janmashtami and his Vyasa Puja on the 6th and 7th of September, his health had suddenly taken a turn for the worse. He had developed a urinary tract infection and had a minor operation. Subsequently, his condition had deteriorated. He had hardly been able to eat and had very little energy. It was only with great difficulty that the devotees had brought him back to Bombay and traveled with him by train to Mathura. Upon his arrival in Vrindavana, Srila Prabhupada had wanted Vanamali Kaviraj to start treating him again. The doctor had come to treat him the next day, at which point Prabhupada had asked that I be summoned. Kirtananda Swami and his assistant Kuladri Dasa were taking care of Prabhupada's prasada, so I was free for other services. Vanamali Kaviraj did not speak English and had been having difficulty communicating with the devotees, so he was happy that I could serve as his interpreter. Srila Prabhupada's condition had become critical. He told me, meaning Vanamali, the doctor, told him. And he was coming to treat him every day. The medicine that had helped so much before was no longer working, however, and he thought it was pointless to continue the treatment. I told Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who related the doctor's recommendation to Prabhupada, and the treatment was stopped. I felt helpless. Srila Prabhupada's condition was critical, but there was nothing we could do to help. He was emphatic that the best medicine was the holy name, and that we should pray to Krishna and depend upon him. What he was going through, he reminded us, would happen to us all. I began to understand that through his own example, Srila Prabhupada was teaching us how to prepare ourselves to leave our bodies. Pisima had come to Vrindavan to see Srila Prabhupada and stood by his bed with love pouring from her eyes. Ask her when she came, Prabhupada told me. Although she was just a few feet away and could hear what he was saying, he did not want to speak to her directly. Tell him that I came this morning with my son Chandra, she replied. Ask her where she is staying. In Goswami Maharaj's Mata, in Imli Tala, she said, referring to Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, from whom her son had accepted initiation. Why is she staying there? Why she is not staying here? My son took me there. Prabhupada suggested that they move to our guest house, and she agreed. Ask her whether she would like to cook for me. Ask him what he would like to eat, she replied. Tell her that she can cook whatever she would like to cook. But Pisima wanted to know what Srila Prabhupada wanted. Finally, he told me that she could cook khichdi. She walked straight to the kitchen with me, following behind. When Kirtananda heard that Pisima was cooking for Srila Prabhupada, he became concerned and tried to persuade him, meaning Prabhupada, not to eat her cooking. It would be too heavy and spicy, he said, not suitable for his condition. But Prabhupada explained that he was accepting Pisima's cooking just to please her. She wanted to cook for him. She always loved to cook for him, and he wanted to give her the opportunity. Kirtananda was adamant and argued his point repeatedly, but Srila Prabhupada said, I am already a dead man. If I die eating or starving, it doesn't really matter. When I informed Srila Prabhupada that the prasada was ready, Kirtananda told him, Prabhupada, you are not going to eat that. Prabhupada's voice became sharp, the first time I had heard him speak that way. And he told Kirtananda, why are you doing this to me? Do you think I do not know what I should do and should not do? Don't ever think that you know better than your spiritual master. Kirtananda was devastated. He just walked out of the room, and that evening he left Vrindavana. I brought the plate, beautifully decorated with various preparations. Sitting up in bed, Prabhupada honored the prasada, barely eating anything, but just tasting one item after another. We were still worried about his digestion. He had not had any solid food for days, but he did not have any problems. When I told Pisima about the devotees' concerns, she replied just as she had when Tamal Krishna Maharaj had expressed his concern about Prabhupada's eating kachoris and samosas. If Prabhupada wants, he can digest even stones, she said. After Kirtananda's departure, I resumed my cooking duties, but by this point Srila Prabhupada was hardly eating and his health continued to decline. Nevertheless, I cooked for him every day, hoping that his appetite would eventually return. One day he said, you have so many things to do. Why are you wasting your time cooking when you can see that I don't have any appetite and I am not able to eat anything? Srila Prabhupada, I replied, I cook hoping that you will get well and develop some appetite and eat something. He said, I will get well only when I die. Hearing that, I could no longer control myself. I broke down in tears. Srila Prabhupada soothed me like a father. "Is this what you learned from me?" he asked. "Didn't I teach you that the spirit soul never dies? The spirit soul simply changes the body. It transmigrates from one body to another." He was reminding me that he would always be there with us, even if we could not see him. Although Prabhupada was not eating, he was concerned about the quality of the devotees' prasada, so he sent me to investigate. When I reported that the quality was not very high, he sent for the temple president and directed that the standard should be improved. "Make sure that devotees get nice prasada," he told me after the temple president had left. "It is the only sense gratification they have." Srila Prabhupada, Patita Bhavana Ki Jai, Bhakti Charu Mahraj Ki Jai. Okay, so here we see the absolute amazing and exceptional relationship that Bhakti Charu Maharaj had with Srila Prabhupada. He was his personal cook. He had what you could say is pure love for Prabhupada. And he was devastated when Prabhupada revealed to him that he was going to leave his body. But it only increased his love for him. So this is the relationship of a true disciple with a truly transcendental Mahabhagavad devotee. So we should regularly think about this relationship that he had with Prabhupada. Understand how he's an extremely exceptional devotee who in a matter of a few months went from not being initiated to being initiated first and second, and then also quickly after that becoming a sannyasi. When he became a sannyasi, Prabhupada gave him some very important instruction. He told him, "Don't ever get married." He said, "You dedicate this life to Krishna." And that's exactly what Bhakti Charu Maharaj did. So you can see he's a very exceptional person. He followed Prabhupada's instructions as strictly as possible. And in this way, he's had a glorious life of devotional service and practical accomplishments. So, therefore, we're going to remember him not only for 11 days, but as a guiding principle for the rest of our life, so that we can also become free from all the impediments of material attachment and become completely attached to serving Prabhupada and Krishna and his sincere devotees like Bhakti Charu Maharaj, so that we can end our life with a new beginning in the spiritual world, joining the Transcendental Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his devotees, and wherever they are. So then this doesn't mean that they're only in the spiritual world, they're also in the material world, continuing the preaching and the vanguard of Harinam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop there now, and then now we're going to see a class by Maharaj. You going to put it on? This is a class, he says, I think it's how to conquer death. Any questions? There's so many new emails coming from the GBC. They want to have a grand program for Bhakti Charu Maharaj in 3 days. Because we'll have it for 11 days, but we'll also do a grand one 3 days from now. And they're saying that they're planning on embalming his body and it'll take 2 weeks to get permission to transfer his body to Mayapur. And they're saying that this is a very exceptional thing, but they're going to do it. And so that he can be properly put to rest in Srimad Dham, where he wanted to be, have his samadhi. And there's an urgent request. Let's see what that is. So, Anutama Das Prabhu has written a letter to all the disciples of Bhakti Charu Mahraj. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami. I write with a very heavy heart. I can only imagine the sense of grief and pain you must all be feeling today, experiencing the separation of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami. Your Guru Maharaj was truly an exceptional Vaishnava, spiritual master, and human being. All who knew him, including all his god brothers and god sisters, were affectionate towards him and inspired by his presence, his warm, friendly nature, his genuine caring for all those he met, and his deep love and commitment to Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON. I cannot help myself today from remembering the deep pain and emotional and spiritual sense of loss and distress I experienced with His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, when His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada passed from this world in 1977. I was a very young devotee, perhaps like some of you, and I found myself bewildered, confused, and brokenhearted. After years of searching, I had found and surrendered to a bona fide Guru, only to have him leave this world just 2 years later. The pain was too great. In the same way, I am sure your hearts are heavy with a sense of loss. Some of you may be feeling a sense of anguish, as I felt at the time of Srila Prabhupada's departure. Why couldn't I have done more to serve my Guru while he was here? Why didn't I better express my dedication and love to him? Why didn't I surrender more sincerely to those instructions and desires he expressed to me, either in person or by his many lectures? I write to reassure you of what is written in our Shastra and what I have experienced as a fact. The presence of spiritual master is never lost to the disciple who does their best by whatever humble ways they can to continue to serve, honor, and carry out the mission of the Guru. Srila Prabhupada has now been gone from this world for more than 40 years, but still his inspiration, his instructions, his will, his vision, his love, and yes, his presence is giving solace and enthusiasm to all of his disciples even today, and not just for Prabhupada's own disciples, but as all of you are proof, his presence is inspiring the next generation of devotees and the next. During these next few days, you may feel moments of great anxiety, and you will also feel moments of elation. Those are natural. Those are all spiritual emotions that may come upon you like waves. Because, along with acknowledging that your Guru Maharaj is no longer physically present, you will also be remembering him more intensely and your dependence upon him. You will remember those times you were with him, those special instructions, that part of his mission, Srila Prabhupada's mission, that you have taken as your own, those times when he made you laugh or cry or deeply contemplate his instructions or chastisement, his good humor, his love, and his wonderful Vaishnava qualities. Please know that as you love your Guru Maharaj, we, the older generation of devotees, also love him, and through him, because of him, we love you also, each and every one of you. You are sacred to us because you are Maharaj's sons and daughter, and you are Srila Prabhupada's grandchildren. We of the first generation have given our lives to try to build a home, a loving ISKCON home for each of you and for your children and your children's children. Maharaj gave his life in serving Prabhupada and serving you and building the same ISKCON home. He was practically the personification of the spirit of cooperation. Almost every time I saw Maharaj solve a problem or address a conflict, he would stress, "Can't we all just get along?" I pray that we will all do our best to keep alive the spirit of Srila Prabhupada and Bhakti Charu Swami's love and dedication to Guru and Guranga and the mission of sharing love of Krishna with every soul in the material world. In that spirit, please know that your spiritual aunts and uncles and cousins are all here for you to support you and help you in your spiritual practice and in overcoming your material hurdles. Together, let's continue to build a home in which the whole world can live. A spiritual, Krishna-conscious home as envisioned by Srila Prabhupada and as expanded by His Holiness Bhakti Charu Mahraj. We are all one family, and we pledge to do our best to help you feel protected and inspired, and to know that your connection with your Guru is eternal, transcendental, and never to be lost. With affection and gratitude to each and every one of you, I remain your servant, Anuttama Das, ISKCON Minister of Communication and GBC member. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, is the video ready? Go ahead.
But that's what is happening. One of my doctor disciples that his observation is people spend their youth trying to earn, and then when they grow old, they spend that money to get that youth. So when you are young, be youthful, utilize your youth in a proper way, and then only when you grow old, you'll be able to accept old age with the right spirit. Main consideration is this body is not meant for enjoy. Don't try to enjoy through the senses. Rather, use this body's facilities for spiritual life. Then you'll never grow old. Then you'll never grow old. Did Prabhupada grow old? No. Prabhupada didn't grow old in the sense, even few days before leaving his body, when he couldn't move, we had to help him. He was turned to his child. He was translating Srimad. So that is the way to conquer the needs of the body. His body will go, but the soul is eternally youthful. So if you become situated in your spiritual identity, then there is no old age. When you become situated in the spiritual identity, there is no